Well, absolutely. Like when you have today's job market requires you to have a bachelor's degree at the minimum to keep up with that. I mean, everybody pretty much has to have that regardless, or jobs would suffer. So, I mean, there's always you always have to push people through, especially when the economy kind of demands it, regardless if that person is up to par or not. It's just what society deems necessary at the time being.
Gotcha. And you currently hold a position of managerial status, correct?
Yes, I am the office manager, lead tech.
The veterinary technician.
Lead tech, or veterinary technician. Yes.
Gotcha. So your duties foresee possibly hiring new applicants. What specifically is your business looking for in terms of qualifications or education?
So it's kind of funny, when I interview people, a couple of the questions I ask is, a lot of times the people that I hire don't have college degrees, just because my workforce does not deem it necessary to have those. But I do ask for high school GPA, if they took the ACT or SAT, what their scores were. A lot of times I look to see if they write in complete sentences on their applications.
And is it oftentimes more than not that you find basic writing skills are just severely lacking?
Yeah, it's sad. It's people just don't understand. You go into a new job, possibly, and you can't even write in a complete sentence. I mean, people don't want to hire that. But it's also sad at the same time that that's the only people that apply for certain positions. I mean, it's sad that, it's really sad that a 25, 26, 30-year-old, 40-year-old goes in and applies for a job and can't even fill out an application in a complete sentence. It's just...
There's something wrong.
Yeah, there's something wrong.
Well, just want to thank you very much for your time and participation, and really addressing this issue that is, I feel, very, very pressing within our time frame and the current stature of our country. So,
I think 20 years ago, or maybe even 30 years ago, I think you had much fewer people were getting college degrees and undergraduate degrees. It's probably become more of a necessity nowadays. It seems like just from sheer numbers of people who have graduated college. But, there's a lot of different permutations of what that is too. 20 years ago, you didn't have online courses. You didn't have distance learning. So, I've seen big changes in that.
So, do you think as we shift towards the more digital society, that is it becoming more of a portfolio based on your prior experience versus the slip of paper you obtained while pursuing your education, when your collegiate degree?
I can only speak to my particular career trajectory, but all of my educational choices from undergrad to law school were all actually just prerequisites to being able to sit for the bar and practice law. There is no way to take the bar unless you've completed a doctorate program. So, in terms of career, for me it was absolutely necessary. On a personal level, I can say that the intellectual experience of law school was incredibly rewarding. It was a huge challenge, and I wouldn't trade it. I don't think that's something that you can get if you weren't going to a brick and mortar university. Just the interaction, and to a large extent, I believe a lot of the value of an undergraduate education is provided by the environment. Kind of within the confines of the ivory towers, it's set up for there's a free flow and exchange of information, respect for others' opinions, and to facilitate a dialogue. With online learning, I mean, it certainly has its benefits, but I think that might be one of the drawbacks.
Are you referring to just kind of everybody and essentially the no child left behind mentality, where as you have teachers kind of dumbing down their courses in order to satisfy the general masses and standards of which have been imposed upon them, versus actually obtaining the information to the student or being able to deliver that in a more adequate way versus shoving it down their throats?
That's a great question. When you look at education in this country, at the elementary level, it's second to none, really, worldwide. We do very, very well. Something gets left behind when you start talking about the secondary level. Yeah, part of that might be it's not easy to make a one size fits all equation. You're talking about people with very different backgrounds, different expectations in the home, different, the parents having their own educational, differences. It makes a big difference in children's education. So, public school has a real challenge towards doing that, and I don't know that there's a great solution out there. I think a lot of what you hear now is people criticisms of the education system because teachers are teaching for the test. And standardized testing I guess it's one metric, but
absolutely, I don't disagree with having a certain standard, but in essence, you have high school seniors who are essentially only have the capability to read at a 5th grade, 6th grade level, whereas a lot of these students are still being passed through the system via sports scholarships, via other elastic pursuits, who are just, kind of getting pushed through the system, who yet are still able to obtain that college degree, whereas the person who scored 1 million on their SATs doesn't necessarily equate, or it does, by today's standards, equate to the same degree, but yet it's producing two very different outcomes.
When you have a situation where and I think what you're alluding to is many student athletes who obviously have something to offer the school besides the intellectual discourse. I don't know. It's a moneymaker, and colleges certainly can always use more money. However, let's not forget that universities have been around for 400 years without the NCAA, and I don't know. I mean, how necessary really is football, or how necessary is a successful basketball program to being able to have a good math program? So I think that's one thing that if I ruled the world, I don't believe I'd tie necessarily sports programs and athletic scholarships to an academic institution.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, baby.
So, I just want to discuss the topic of education and the role it's played within your life today. If you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself, stating your age and your title and position.
Sure. My name is Jemina Cardenas, and I am 45 years old. I am a proposal manager for a contracting firm here in D.C.
Wonderful. So, if you wouldn't mind just kind of going into a little bit of detail about how you came about your position and where you started versus where you are today.
Well, I started out as an executive assistant. I've been doing this for 17 years, and a little over 17 years. I've started with managing projects and presentations for a company, and I'm working with the sales and marketing department and just selling business. And at the time, proposal development came along and it was growing. This was about 10 years ago. And my boss decided he wanted me to pursue that for our company. I sent me to some training, and I was able to get certified and, just move along in the proposal development world.
So, what types of certifications did you require?
When it first started, well, proposal development has been going for a long time for government contracting, but I'm certified in, there are companies here that train people to do proposal development and how to outlines and breaking down requests for proposals from the government. And so those are the certifications I've gotten. I've joined the APNP, which is an association that helps networking and pulling proposal people together, basically.
Gotcha. Would you say you love your job?
I love business development. What I love about my job is that no two proposals are identical. So once one proposal ends, you start a new one, and it's a whole new set of requirements. It's, different teams, you pull groups together, companies together, and a lot of different kind of people. So it's never boring.
Mm-hmm. So, what kind of skills did you deem most valuable within your field?
The skills required would probably be mostly in business development, of course, strategizing business, how to pull a team together, how to pull groups together, making sure that you have companies that can fill gaps that your company doesn't have, and your search and outlining, writing, and managing people and pulling people together, basically.
Gotcha. So, can you talk a little bit about your educational experience and how it's impacted your life, especially within entering the workforce?
Yeah. I actually didn't start doing this type of business when I graduated high school. I do not have a college degree. I graduated high school and I started working at a bank. From there, a lot of things happened, and I decided I didn't want to continue working at a bank, so I seeked a position at a government contracting firm as an executive assistant, and that kind of paved the way for me to do this kind of work. I've always been outside of the bank. I've always been in government contracting. So what I've had to do is learn how to work Microsoft Office, and started out in Word Perfect, and the old systems, Paradox, and I don't know, a lot of different software that is really obsolete, can't use anymore.
So, what would you say was the most valuable software that you use today?
What we use is a lot of Microsoft Office. And I do graphics as well, and so anything that can pull a desktop publishing document together with diagrams and desktop publishing, really. So that's what we use.
Gotcha. So, the highest level of education you've obtained, it was essentially your diploma, correct? And in addition to certifications within your specific field.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Right. Just a year of classes at college, but nothing that really amounted to finishing up an associate's or anything. Have not been able to finish that yet.
But you do want to go back and obtain your degree?
Most definitely I do.